The brain is the primary weapon of war. Throughout, obviously, history, technology has changed and we've upgraded technology, but the brain seems to continuously adapt to that. It's very flexible and it can adapt to modern technology as well. So how can we apply these ancient processes, this neural architecture that's very old, and how can that actually fit in a modern environment?
War is politically motivated violence at scale between human groups. That's what war is. It always involves humans. The moment there are absolutely no humans involved, then it's no longer war, right? So even if there were a nuclear war, there would still be humans pressing the metaphorical button on either side, right? Even though that's weapons, awesome power. Humans are always going to be central. As you say, then technologies will change how war operates, but the human side will always be the same. So, for example, you look at World War I, the defensive weapons, machine guns and barbed wire and so on, they were dominant. And then World War II, where offensive weapons suddenly became more effective. And so rather than having, stalemate for 4 years, you had blitzkrieg, right? You had these lightning attacks using aeroplanes and tanks and so on. But the same basic factors. Do you have the will to fight? Right? The French had the will to fight for 4 years in World War I, suffering incredible losses, the French army, and yet they fought bravely and powerfully and courageously throughout. And then in World War II, the French lost the will to fight. In May 1940, Hitler's cavalry was clattering up the Champs-Élysées in a victory parade. And you see this will to fight, just as one example, right, which is fundamentally about human brains, right? You choose to fight or run away, right? That is always going to be psychological. And yes, precisely how it will matter, precisely the ways it will matter will change, but it's just as important, for example, in Ukraine. So how did Ukraine repel Russia's initial onslaught in early 2022? They were outnumbered 12-1, the Ukrainians north of Kyiv, 12-1, totally outmatched in terms of tanks and planes and bombs and all the rest of it. And yet they were very brave, and that will to fight enabled them to repel the Russian onslaught. Right, so the will to fight, yes, the costumes change, the weapons change, but the centerpiece is always going to be the human brain. And that's really what's going to determine whether people win or lose.